The type of concepts are...
Yeah, let's talk about the concepts.
I mean...
Because that's limitless, right?
It really is. I mean, there's certain things. You won't be able to serve or consume alcohol at these. This is really about cannabis. But you can have a restaurant. You can have a comedy club, live entertainment. There's so many things that you can do. And if you imagine it being a venue today that has alcohol and gaming or no gaming, you can't have gaming at these either, right? So, but think of like your favorite tavern or restaurant or bar or music venue. Just pull the alcohol out and replace it with cannabis.
Absolutely.
All right. So sky's the limit. Let's
talk about the serving of cannabis at these, what's being proposed, the single use. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, we're still defining the term single use. I try to always make an analogy to alcohol because that's a social drug that people use today, and it's easy to talk about it that way. So if you go to a bar, let's say, right, you generally order a beer, right, or a drink, maybe a shot and a beer. And so we want to approach the idea of like, what can I buy at one time as an individual in that same sort of, way of thinking. But if there's two of us that go to a bar, we can get a pitcher of beer.
That's right.
Right. And so one of the things that we haven't contemplated yet, or at least made in the official comments back to the CCB, but we're actually going to be doing this week with our updates, is asking for a larger amount allowable for two people, so that it is this sort of pitcher of beer concept.
But then it's two people and their tolerance, because if you had two bud tenders who are more of a tolerance versus you and I going, it's very different.
Well, and here's the thing. That's true of alcohol, though, right?
Totally.
Someone who can drink 15 beers doesn't
right.
get to order 15 beers or a keg, right? Or a pitcher. They have to order them individually.
Okay.
And they'll drink them. So if you have a high tolerance, it doesn't say you can only buy one pre-roll and that's it, or 1 gram, or, one dab. It's just you can only buy so much at a time.
At a time. But you can go back up and you can get as much as you want.
Well, so okay, here's a great example.
Yes.
Because we're beverages, right? Looking at these
that was on my question.
Beverages right here, right?
Talk about it.
So I have a lot of thoughts about cannabis beverages, and they're all really good ones. Number one, if you were to go into a lounge today, you would not, like you can at a retail store, buy a 6-pack of, like, say, canned beverages.
Right.
You would order one at a time.
Yeah.
If you can drink all 6 over the course because of your tolerance and other things, that's going to be on an individual basis. The person serving you needs to understand, like, what based on their training, and training is going to be a big part of what happens here. Yeah, when you think about it, a retail experience, you're not consuming, so there's only so much you need to really cover and can cover. A lot of it's like you got to go home and consume it and then know, right?
Right.
When you're in a venue, it's live, right? So I'm selling you a thing, and I have to keep eyes on you, and I need to be able to have a conversation with you, and I need to understand your tolerance. And by the way, I should probably have some sense of that before we even get started. Every venue is going to do it differently.
Okay.
But I think that the smart play is to know as much about that consumer coming in before.
Really?
Lounges are going to invite a lot of non-endemic consumers, right? Which is key, because the only way to grow this market is to expand the consumer base.
That's right.
Beverages are
a
great way to do that, right?
I know. Especially microdose.
Microdose,
You
right?
can't get it wrong.
Correct, because you can't overdo it. And what we all know about cannabis is you can't undo it. No, you got to wait it out.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you got some measures, but still, it sucks.
But basically, if you overconsume, right, you need to take a break.
Yep.
Right? Yep. Drink some water, get some fresh air, whatever.
Cold shower.
Something, right?
Yeah.
So I think that with a low-dose beverage program, somebody who doesn't consume cannabis but is curious, wants to try it, wants to go to the venue with their friends who do, well, instead of being left out,
that's right.
Hey, try one of these.
Yeah. Get the warm bubblies.
It's going to be so, like, it's such a small amount of cannabis that
so perfect
even if you're hypersensitive, you'll be fine, right? Yeah. And I think that's part of those conversations, though, that each of the hosts or servers or whatever we're going to call them, bud tenders, whatever that is, they're going to need to have conversations with their guests. And that probably should happen even before the venue opens if you're doing reservations and things. Look, and all this could be really great data to inform our industry about what consumers want.
Absolutely.
And
like a little triage process. I mean, it might take longer, but I think it's going to enhance the experience.
Well, look, they're not really doing this anywhere else. And I tell
Right.
people this all the time. In Nevada, someone's going to come to a venue in Las Vegas and they're going to go, wow, this doesn't exist anywhere else. Like, right? And yeah, no, it doesn't. There's a couple cities that have them, right?
That's right.
You can go to Amsterdam or
Yeah.
Spain, but
But
odds
this will
are
be the Amsterdam of,
way better.
yes.
Way better.
Well said.
And I think the reason it's going to be way better is because Las Vegas is the hospitality entertainment capital of
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
And now we get to do it with cannabis.
Yeah. It's so exciting.
So I think you're going to have a lot of people, just like people come to Vegas and maybe not do certain things, but they come here and do it, like go to a club, right? Or stay up till 5 in the morning,
Absolutely.
gambling and doing
Yep.
things, right? Because they wouldn't do that back home, but they'll do
Right.
it here. Now they have a chance to experience cannabis, maybe because it's not legal or there's just no place to consume with their friends.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of people try cannabis for the first time. And guess what? We're going to
This
be
makes
able
me
to
so happy.
observe it, measure it,
Yeah.
kind of get some information,
Yeah.
some data.
What about overconsumption? Does that, where is the line on that? And how do we manage that, if it's even something to be managed?
I think, again, with cannabis, it's and it's the same when you go to a bar and have a drink, right? The bartenders, the staff working there, they're supposed to be observing, make sure you don't overconsume, right?
Okay.
With cannabis, I think it's going to be looking for certain signs.
It's that sneak up.
And it is a sneak up,
Someone
right?
in the fetal position in the corner. Just saying.
I mean, look, you can go from 0 to 60 depending on how
can.
it affects you.
That's
And
right.
It's also important to ask people before they come in, right? Have you had anything to eat? Have you been drinking?
That's right.
Right? Crossfade from polysubstance
Yep.
consumption. So I will say that cannabis, of all the things that you could consume in a combination, right? We all know it's the safest, right? And it's there's almost no harm whatsoever.
That's right.
Right? Other than you not feeling great.
A little paranoia.
A little
Yeah.
paranoia, a little drop in, little cold chill kind of thing.
That's all.
But look, I think that's part of the training with the folks that are going to work in these businesses is to understand not only to observe it, but how to mitigate it,
Yeah.
how to make people
Yeah.
feel comfortable,
Yeah.
and then to get them home safely or back to their hotel.
Yeah.
I think one great thing that the local jurisdictions should do when they're thinking about their ordinances is don't have parking requirements. If you're so concerned about people consuming cannabis and driving, why would you say you have to have parking for all these people, right? Encourage,
Ride shares and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Especially the ones that are near the
Absolutely.
strip.
Right.
And granted, we all know that cannabis, the way it affects people is different, right?
Right.
And there are a lot of
Right.
patients who consume daily
That's right.
amounts that would put us on our
100%.
butt.
Yes.
That they're fine.
Yeah.
We know this. And so I think it's really a question of individual responsibility, really, really good training, and having really, open conversations with your guests
Yeah.
about what's going on.
I love it.